This is a very painful story about how obsession can turn very deadly and why sometimes the most dangerous person in your life is someone you once trusted. So on the evening of September 5th, 2025, the security guard at a residential estate in Lagos received what appeared like a routine visit. A man who presented himself as a dispatch rider approached the gate claiming he had a package to deliver to one of the residents named Deborah Moses. Following standard procedure, the security guard called Deborah to confirm if she was expecting any delivery. Deborah's response was clear and firm. She was not expecting any package and had not ordered anything. The security guard, following protocol again, denied the supposed delivery man entry into the estate, but this rejection would not stop the visitor from doing what he had in mind to do. What happened next would reveal that this was no ordinary delivery attempt, but the beginning of a carefully planned attack. The man, later identified as Lintex Ogale, did not simply leave after being denied entry into the estate. Instead, he moved away from the security post and began looking for another way into the estate. Finding a blind spot where he could not be easily seen, Lintex scaled the fence and made his way into the compound. His determination to get inside should have been a warning of the deadly intentions he carried. Once inside the estate, Lintex made his way directly to Deborah's house. What he did next showed just how far his obsession had driven him. He located the gas pipe that supplied cooking gas to Deborah's house and cut it, hoping that the escaping gas would cause an explosion that would claim Deborah's life. This was not a crime of passion or a moment of anger. This was a calculated attempt at murder. When his plan to cause a gas explosion failed, Lintex's deadly determination only grew stronger. He forced his way to Deborah's house, where he confronted the young woman who had once been his girlfriend. What followed was a vicious attack that would end a promising life and leave an entire community in shock. Lintex stabbed Deborah multiple times, and as the attack continued, Deborah screamed for help. Her neighbors heard her desperate screams and immediately rushed toward her apartment, hoping to help her. Realizing that the neighbors had heard Deborah's cries and would soon arrive, Lintex made a desperate decision to save himself. He inflicted injuries on himself and then lay down beside Deborah's body, pretending to be dead. This final act of deception showed the lengths he was willing to go to avoid responsibility for his crime. When the neighbors arrived at the scene, they found what appeared to be two victims. However, their instincts told them that something was not right about Lintex. While they tried desperately to save Deborah, they kept a close watch on the man lying beside her. Unfortunately, their efforts to help Deborah were too late, as she had already died from her injuries. The neighbors' suspicions about Lintex turned out to be correct. They noticed he was still breathing and realized he was pretending to be dead. The neighbors held him until the police arrived, preventing any chance of escape. When the authorities finally arrived at the scene, they took Lintex into custody, where he would finally face the consequences of his deadly obsession. Lintex Ogale and Deborah Moses were both from Benue State, sharing a common background that had initially brought them together. For some time, they had been in a romantic relationship. However, what should have been a loving partnership gradually grew into something much darker. As their relationship continued, Lintex began showing troubling signs of controlling and abusive behavior. He started maltreating and assaulting Deborah, turning what should have been a safe and loving relationship into a source of fear and pain. The abuse escalated over time, making Deborah's life increasingly difficult and dangerous. By August 2023, Deborah had endured enough. She made the brave decision to end the relationship, hoping to escape the cycle of abuse and build a better life for herself. For many people, a breakup is painful, but eventually leads to healing and moving forward. However, Lintex was not willing to accept that their relationship was over. Instead of respecting Deborah's decision and working on himself, Lintex began a campaign of stalking and threats that would continue for over a year. He made it clear that he could not handle the idea of Deborah being with anyone else or even being happy without him. His threats became increasingly disturbing, with him saying things like, "If he could not have her, no one else would. If I don't marry you, blood will flow." Deborah had informed her sister about these threatening messages, creating evidence of the danger she was facing. In a voice recording made by the sister, she could be heard talking about Lintex's obsessive and controlling nature, as well as the threats he made to her sister.
Yeah, boy.
So she broke up with him over a year ago. This is, I think, August last year or so. This is getting to the second year of their breakup. and the guy has refused to move on. He keeps making statements like, if I don't have you, nobody will. If I don't marry you, blood go flow. You know, and then she stopped speaking strange numbers because every time, this boy is pestering, this boy is disturbing, this boy is after her. She has been avoiding him. My sister is a very hardworking girl, very, very hardworking. She's an interior decorator. This girl just finished NYSC. She's just trying to find a foot. What is relationship by force? And then also many people out there in this world.
Shortly after the breakup, Deborah tried to move forward with her life. She left for a National Youth Service Program, which is a mandatory service year for Nigerian graduates. This move is believed to have given her some distance from Lintex and allowed her to focus on building her life. She completed her NYSC program in October 2024, marking an important milestone in her young life. Deborah was working as an interior decorator, a career she was passionate about and hoped to develop further. At just 24 years old, she was full of dreams and plans for her future. She was finally beginning to put her life together after the difficult period with Lintex, and everything seemed to be looking up for her. However, Lintex's obsession had not faded during this time. Even as Deborah was building her new life, he was still fixated on her and unable to move on. His behavior became even more concerning as he continued to stalk and threaten her from a distance. The depth of Lintex's disturbing mindset became even more clearer when all social media posts of his surfaced after the murder. In one particularly chilling tweet, he had written in pidgin English what is translated to mean that it is usually those who know or are close to a particular person that end up killing the person, also meaning that murders are usually committed by those who are very close to the victim. This post, made months before the attack, showed that violence was already on his mind. In another disturbing social media post, Lintex had commented on a different murder case involving a gospel singer who ended his girlfriend's life. The singer had claimed he murdered the woman because she was unfaithful to him. Lintex's response to this case was somehow ironic. He wrote that the killer was foolish because if everyone started killing women for cheating, less than 10% of women would be left alive. This post revealed a man who not only thought about violence against women, but saw it as somehow normal or acceptable. He painted a picture of someone whose thinking had become dangerously twisted and who saw women as objects he could control or destroy. Deborah's case represents yet another tragic example of how domestic violence can escalate even after a relationship ends. Her story shows why it is so important for society to take threats seriously and for support systems to be put in place for people trying to escape abusive relationships. Deborah's family and friends described her as a young woman with a bright future who was just beginning to find her feet in life. She had overcome the trauma of an abusive relationship and was working to build the career and life she wanted. Many people have pointed out that Deborah did everything right. She left the abusive relationship, she tried to build a new life, and she even had evidence of the threats against her. Yet, all this were not enough to protect her from her obsessed ex-boyfriend. Currently, the case is still under investigation as authorities work to build a strong case against Lintex Ogale. The evidence against him appears overwhelming, given that he was caught at the scene and there were witnesses to his arrest. However, the legal process must be allowed to run its course to ensure justice is properly served. As more details continue to emerge about this tragic case, we will do well to keep you informed of any new developments. The hope is that justice will be served, not just for Deborah, but as a message that such acts of violence against women will not be tolerated. What do you think about this tragic case? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like, share and subscribe to this channel or page so that you don't miss out on any updates on this case.